We typically can't see the roots because they're down deep below, but they provide the strong foundation on which we can take off and fly. Of roots and wings, that's our topic on today's episode of the Educators Among Us podcast.
Welcome to the Educators Among Us podcast, where we share motivational messages and inspiring stories for and about educators. Your host, Scott Barron, is author of the critically acclaimed book, Love 'Em and Lead 'Em, and provides powerful insights and wisdom for those who heed the call to teach, coach, lead, and serve at all levels of education.
This is Scott Barron, and I'm honored to be your host for the Educators Among Us podcast, a very unique program that is designed for those who have the courage, the gall, to be a part of an education system. It doesn't matter at what age level. It could be from birth all the way up through adults. It could be different roles within schools, whether teachers or coaches or staff members, guidance counselors, principals, administrators, everybody, right? Anybody that's involved in the life and leadership of schools. We love you. I mean, we're so thankful for you and the difference that you make. And hopefully you're able to use some of these words of encouragement as a little bit of that extra energy that you need to get through the day or the moment or even through the conflict, right? Because we know that school leadership is an adventure, and it's dealing with conflict on an ongoing basis because people are involved, and that's the joy of our work as well as the challenge of our work is we get to guide people and love people through all the adventures of life. And so we're thankful that you are there, that you're making a difference, that you're prepared every day, in season and out of season, to make a difference. And so thank you. Thank you for that courage and that commitment, as well as that ability to adapt and to learn and to grow, right? That's the real calling of us to be educators, is to have that growth mindset, but also to love and to lead. And that's why we do this, because we really do believe that the calling to education, we ought to be able to do this, use this gift to teach in environments that are high performing group, where there's teams who trust each other and love each other and are able to get through this together. So thank you for all that you do. There's a great quote that I love from Johann Wolfgang von Goethe that says, "There are only two lasting bequests that we can hope to give our children, right? One of these is roots, and the other, wings." Of roots and wings. That's our topic for today's episode of the Educators Among Us podcast. And this is I've been a little bit creative with this one. If you get the Monday encouragement as an email, you will have read this. And if you haven't, if you don't get that, I'd love for you to sign up for that on either edfellowship.org or at schoolgrowth.com, where we just share this as just a message, just like with this podcast, that is designed to give perspective and maybe a little bit of training and thinking around it, right? And so I created this one as a poem, and so it has some rhyming to it, and very intentionally. And so I'm going to kind of read through it, and then we'll share some perspective around it, right? But to kind of tie it into that idea of roots and wings, because I thought that was such a powerful message, right? I mean, education really ought to be that. It's not just giving facts and figures and knowledge. It's about roots and wings. And so as we move into this we're in a particular time of year in the United States, and it's springtime. And of course, that varies from hemisphere to hemisphere and in different parts of the world. And we have people who listen to this and read our messages that are all around the world. And so this is about springtime, right? Springtime is a joyous season that also brings with it a myriad of bothersome weeds. With voracious speed, they spread their seeds, making it difficult to halt their breeds. Fertilizer vows to preempt their emergence, but it fails to serve as a real divergence. Some can be removed by grasping them close to the ground to extract all the roots, but it's exhausting bending over to pull them up while not getting ants in the boots, right? Such hassles are simply part of this life, as important lessons are learned in this strife, right? And that's a part of sort of this time of year where the weeds are everywhere. I've been going out pulling weeds, and it's so exhausting, and yet it's a part of the cycle, right? And sometimes we recognize that we kind of get weeds in our own life. We get things that start to sprout up, and I'm not sure where they came from. I have no idea how these weeds spread the way they do, but they always find, they always find my yard. They always find us, right? And they're inevitable. They are. They're inevitable. And so we have to be able to know how to be aware of them. And some weeds are really sort of some pretty bad infestations. And so sometimes people can be weeds, right? Sometimes people can be those invaders who come in and they begin to spread. Sometimes ideas can be weeds, right? They get in our heads and they can be sometimes a distraction and sometimes quite destructive, right? And that's a challenge that all of us face, but the consequences for educators are distinct because our attitude and our mindsets have such an impact not only on us, but on the people that we serve and that we're in relationship with on a daily basis, right? And Victor Hugo says, strong and bitter words indicate a weak cause, right? In other words, people who want to get louder, they want to use stronger, more vindictive vocabulary. Often it's because they don't have anything else. That's all they have because they have to be more emphatic, and sometimes they'll even use profanity or other things because they don't have enough real wisdom and meaning and reasoning behind what they're saying. Right? And so we have to be cautious of some when we go down that path, because it's a dangerous path. So I continue in my message, right? Growth of bitter roots can be seen in schools among those who found disfavor, not to be confused with bitter root, a hardy flowering plant some use to add flavor, right? Unmet expectations and unresolved conflict offer rich soil for bitterness to grow, allowing unchecked feelings of hurt and anger that incite destructive words to flow. Wings atrophy under the weight of feeling underappreciated, unsupported, even unsung. How will we teach them to fly if we fail in the prerequisite of mastering our tongue, right? Our words matter. They actually linger for years, if not decades. And it's one of the consequences of being an educator. The students that we speak to, our words actually become quite ingrained in their memory. It sometimes shapes their character. It shapes what they can become. And it's something that we have to be very aware of. And as we're all challenged to be careful with our words, the educator has to be even more so, because our words speak into the minds and the hearts and the souls, sometimes of young students. And when we get tired, when we get aggravated, when we feel mad, and sometimes that's because we don't feel appreciated, or we don't feel like someone is taking care of our needs, then sometimes some educators will go down that path that then they begin to then express that anger or that dissent with others, right? And that is a very dangerous path that we have to maintain a self-awareness around. And that's one of the things that we have found about the most effective educators is they maintain a high degree of self-awareness. They understand their words, and they're very, very careful. They're very, very careful about how they say things and have an awareness of knowing how to read the room. They understand that they can't just fire off and say, "Oh, I'm sorry," or kind of hit the rewind button. there isn't one, right? But our words, yeah, they do have more consequences. It comes with the job and the commitment to the work, right? So we have the opportunity to consider, as we move into this time, especially in this season, to be aware. And towards the end of the school year, those infestations of the weeds seem to get even worse, right? Because people are going different directions. We get tired, we get unaware, and we allow those inhibitions to slip, right? We have to be careful. Psalm 63:7 says, "For you have been my help, and in the shadow of your wings, I will sing for joy." Joy. That's an important part of our preparation to be educators, is finding the joy in the work, finding the joy even in some of the things that we have to do that are just annoying, like pulling weeds, right? Strong roots are vital to maturity, where values, purpose, and relationships enable deeper courage and curiosity to flourish in ways that are rare if the core is unstable. Education, absent the roots of truth and wisdom, is like a compass without a needle, masquerading as a tool for reliable direction, yet being worthless for thinking people. Purpose and discovery, they give lift to the wings that enable the pursuit of higher dreams. So we give them daily all we've got and more, because educators go to great extremes. So bless them with roots and wings as you elevate their view, my friend, knowing that the difference between whether they soar or sour is you, right? That's our responsibility. That's our calling. And that's what we do. We love and lead people. We lead them on a journey. We lead them sometimes, through things that we don't know. And this is a period of time in education when the pathways are less paved and much more covered up. And we have to be able to have a compass that's reliable. We have to give direction. We have to provide a pathway for discovery, for being able to take off, right? To give them those wings of exploration built on roots of truth and wisdom. So thank you for what you do. Thank you for the impact that you make on other people's lives by giving them roots and wings. It's a real privilege, and it's the nobility of our calling to be educators, and proudly to stand in that gap and be there for people as they're trying to figure it out. And we don't have all the answers, but we do have a really good compass. And because we're grounded, because we know what our true north is, we're able to be that wise guide for them to discover their purpose, to discover their place in life, and to discover how they can utilize their gifts to be even more. Hey, a coaching question to ask yourself at the end of each day. Did I do my best to give roots and wings today? Did I do my best to give roots and wings today? Hey, love him and lead him, my friend. This is Scott.
Thank you for joining us for the Educators Among Us podcast and for your courageous commitment to this noble calling. We get you and the challenges of this work. To stay connected with this community, be sure to subscribe to our podcast and weekly encouragement at educatorsamongus.com.